right. Yes. Well, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is you're having. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday.
Happy to be here.
Amen. And this is Paradigm Shifters. And let me tell you a little bit about Paradigm Shifters. Vinny and anyone else is walking. We are a growing global community dedicated to shift and uplift the planet. Right? No matter what. And we've been going strong since March 2020. Every week, where we're bringing on guest speakers and from different perspectives of, shifting um, globally. And right now, there's 56 countries that are members, and we keep growing. So for August 2023, we have a different topic in August, and I met Vinny Man up in the mountains. Isn't that cool? Vinny is our speaker today, and his life fascinates me. And at this, I'm not going to say young age of 19. You're just age 19, right? We're ageless. So I invited Vinny on because I just came from this conference, and the theme for our August Paradigm Shifters is the spiritual life is not a theory, we have to live it. So I invited Vinny to come on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you're living it, how you develop this spiritualness or not, what you see in your age group. And so, Vinnie FAAS from Glenwood Springs, Colorado, come on in here.
Thank you, Judy. I guess I started off at Catholic school. Born and raised Catholic, spent 8 years there, and that really helped develop a sense of God for me. Um, and already, I grew up watching friends that didn't have the same experience. Some of my best friends growing up stopped going to that school, stopped, you know, contacting me as well. And so I just kind of remembered seeing the people who I felt had God and the people who just didn't see him or hadn't found him yet. And I kind of made the decision that I want to have God on my team, on my side. And I know he's on everyone's side, but I want to accept him onto my team. And so I I have been confirmed in the Catholic faith. Uh, but that said, there are still some things that they believe about God that I don't quite agree with. And so it's where the God of AA has really come in, because AA defines a God as one's unique higher power. And I find that beautiful because my God appears to everyone. It is our God appears to everyone how they need to see him, in my opinion. And I don't know why I'm giving God the him pronouns. I actually don't believe that my God is a man nor a woman. Um, and I've seen God do so many beautiful things in life for me and for so many other people. I mean, nowadays I drive around with a crucifix in my car, and I truly believe that, and it's right next to me. It's where I can't not see it. And I think it helps. I've been in a car accident before, and it was traumatizing for me. And it was in this very dark point of my life where I just, I didn't feel the love of God. And so for me, this crucifix reminds me every time I get in that God is with me. And yesterday, I drove for 11 hours around the state of Colorado, just doing a favor for a friend. And some of it was some pretty technical driving through the mountains. But my point is, I never had fear, whereas otherwise I could have. But for me, God is just let go and let God. That's truly something we need to do as humans. And that's where the spiritual life is not a theory, because if our minds are very worried about something and it's out of our control, the only person that we can give that up to is God to take care of it. We have to have faith and trust. But I don't know if I'm rambling on a little too much.
No, that's great. That's great. Well, I know you have such a unique story, and I would love to have you share it if you feel comfortable
Yeah.
about some maybe the hardest things that you didn't. Well, whatever. You know what I mean. If that is that okay if you share a little bit of your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So my father is a recovering alcoholic. He hit 7 months of sobriety in June, and I was 12 years old when he initially got sober, and he received his third DUI then. So not only did he have to go to rehabilitation, but he did end up spending a little time in the county jail. And I was a sixth grader at the time. And I remember that being extremely difficult for me. I'm just, my dad is probably my best friend. And so not having him around, it was hard. However, I was still in Catholic school at that time, and I had a lot of great resources there. It was really cool having teachers like come up to me and say a prayer with me and let me know everything was all right. And I'm not saying that teachers at a public school wouldn't have been able to help, but for me personally, I was in the place that I needed to be at that time. And so flash forward a couple years and I've seen just the most tremendous growth and progress from my dad. You know, I like to put it as my dad, yeah, he stayed sober yesterday and every day for the past 7 years because it's not, I thought, oh, my dad is sober. He will be sober the rest of his life, but it's one day at a time. And I think through the strength of God, I've seen him do that. My dad had his heart closed to God seemingly when I was growing up. And then, after his sobriety, we started seeing things. He would pray. He prays every day. He would start coming to mass with us. And I just like saw this light shining from him that and I think he saw it and felt it himself because it was so powerful and so healing. And so for him it's just and for the whole family, it's been this whole wonderful period of healing. And I think a lot of that, especially for me and my mom, who and my sister, who's younger than me, by the way, we were all, worried at first. Is dad gonna go drink again? And it's always a question. It will always be. However, it's not a question that I worry about because I believe that, we are all here on God's plan, and that is what it is. And that's not something I can control as a human. So I need to sit back and find the lessons from it. Because for me, God's always teaching me things. I try and learn something new every day. And there's something to be learned. Even if it's like totally made up, you can make a lesson out of nothing. And that's God. God showing you to be creative.
I remember one of those days we were both leading a hike up to the mountain up there, and we were a little bit slower than you guys, right? You had the teenagers, and I had the other folks. But I remember, like at the bottom of the chairlift, um, it was a God as we understand it meeting that you were leading. I know there's anonymity and everything, but can you tell me a little bit about that experience up there and maybe some of the emotions or the feelings that came out? Because, like, I saw you as a leader of, like, all these young people that might or might not have wanted to be there in the first place. So, yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love to hear about your experience on the mountain
Of
this year.
course. It was really amazing. I think, as you did mention, these were people a little bit younger than me. And so I had this cool role of being able to be a leader to them. And this was about halfway through all of our time together. And the first half is usually pretty quiet and, everyone's a little bashful or shy. And this meeting, we're up on the mountain, we're sitting in a gazebo. It's cold out because it's just so high up there. It's beautiful, such a beautiful setting. And I just, it was a turning point, I feel like, for many people on throughout their week. And when I say turning point, I mean there was more of a willingness to share and be vulnerable with the group, which they may have looked at it differently before that, but for whatever reason, I think some of our Alateen sponsors helped as well tremendously because they were very wise, and our Alateen sponsors had really interesting input to that meeting. And so I feel like it all just grew like a snowball upon itself. And, one of the teenagers shared, then another one shared, and then one who had never shared. And it was just so beautiful. And what they were saying was so deeply profound. These are 13 through 16-year-olds who and I'm not going to go into detail, but it was extremely profound and wonderful. And for me, even mind-blowing to hear.
Mm. Other people's experiences and vulnerability. I think I love that word too. And I remember when you first were that 13-year-old, and so was my grandson, by the way. So, what was your experience when you were 13 and had first come into that environment?
I was very shy and intimidated by people who are now my age. It was really nice having your grandson. You mentioned David, and he was the only other 13-year-old there. And so immediately off the bat, we already had that similarity. So we had a connection. And for me personally, I just watched, friendships grow for me. And they were people older than me, which was weird. That's never really happened like that. And so by about Wednesday, the higher power meeting, I felt just free in a way, free to be myself and to think my own thoughts and free of like worry of judgment because it's not a judging place.
Okay, well, so now, what August 15th, 2023. So now, the present, right now, what are you doing now? And tell us like your next adventure and any fears that we might be able to hold for you and expanded. I mean, not expand the fears, but expanded growth
I
for you.
get you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
fears. I always like fears part of the journey,
absolutely.
no matter where you are. So tell us where you are now, what you've been doing and been working.
Yeah, I work a lot. I work for a golf club. I live in the Roaring Fork Valley, if anyone knows. It's pretty much located up in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado, near Aspen, Colorado. And this golf club that I work at, it's a private club with a lot of members from Texas who tend to fly in for the summers. And my position is usually picking them up from the airports, taking them to restaurants at night, or otherwise seeing to their property that they have uh, within our larger property. And I've been really busy. I've dove into work this year because it correlates with my major that I will be studying, which is hospitality. And so that leads me to the next step, which I'm headed to college this September, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And it's overwhelming if I had to say, but with so many different emotions. The hard part will be leaving my home. I grew up in this house. This has always been my room. My family. I think my dog would be the hardest to leave because I can't call my dog on the phone. But there's that. and then there's the promise of a new opportunity. And I'm really lucky to have it be the opportunity of my choice. And I'm a little nervous because this school is a hard school. So I'm told. And I'm not worried about my intelligence. It's not that, but I'm worried about my time management because everything was always kind of already set up for me. And so
Oh,
that's going to be probably the biggest challenge, especially because I'm a very social person and I don't like to say no to things. So if people ask me to go to the beach, I'm going to say yes. So that's why I need to, stay on top of my work and get everything done in ahead. But other than that, I guess there's always the fear of fitting in a new place, even when you know you will, because I know I will. There's a lot of people, and I'm just gonna find, however long it takes, I'll find the people that are like me and that get me and that I get. But for me, the fear is like, how long is that gonna take? Because I like to get things very quickly, as maybe some other people can relate. And so I'd love to meet my friends day one, my best friends day one, but I don't realistically think it's going to happen.
ah,
And that's okay. I just don't know. And I hope so. But there's a lot of people in this world, and I've made a couple lifelong best friends, but in this small valley that I've been living in, friends has always been an interesting subject. And so I'm hoping the paradigm shifts on that one.
oh, we know it. Well, I love that you said time management, which is for me in what I do. That's a real common boom. It's very a common hour thinking is what I know that there's that time management. What is time anyway? We all have the same 24 hours, and so there's something that I teach called a brave thinking tool. Okay, want to know
I
that?
do. I'm very intrigued.
Well, for the first thing, um, as human beings, we really can't, we don't manage time, and it's you manage activities because the time's always there. So it's an activity management and blocking there's nothing wrong with going to the beach, but you can block the time and then block. But that's my old school teacher thing. But the other thing, I hear that from adults all the time. And guess what? I hear that from the teachers who are going back to school right now, too. They've had a whole summer of doing their thing. Now it's boom, block, time. So I think it's pretty cool to be working with teachers and knowing that, and the parents, your folks are going through that same thing of like, whoa, empty nest syndrome.
Hmm.
Remember that one too. Um, so, what I have a mentor who has this. I have these little. You'll be getting a couple of these in the mail, Vinny. these,
Awesome.
these are my cranes, and I have on this one that I have up on my computer. Everything required is completed in a relaxed and easy manner. And it's like about staying in the flow energy, you know, everything required rather than the this energy. And this, and at any rate, it's like a day to day thing, one day at a time. And anyway, I just wanted to throw that out, not throw it out, but sprinkle some of that, like, because you wouldn't have gotten right where you were right now if it wasn't releasing it, And for me, it's I've my what do you want to call it in 12 step or whatever is my defect of character, whatever is. I want to go from A to Z, and I don't want to do any of the letters in between.
Me too.
So what if? What if? So, well, so what would you? What is like a tool or one thing that you would love to put out there for other um, people your age who are about to embark on a brand new freedom, independence adventure? What I know you haven't quite done it yet, but what is a tool that you would love to give, the students, the parents, the teachers from your perspective?
Well, I hope this qualifies as a tool. I would say open-mindedness, because open-mindedness can lead you to unimaginable opportunities. And showing up is half the battle, if not all of it. And if you can just show up to something that, for me, there's a lot of experience. I've had a lot of experiences where it's like, I don't want to go do that. And then I've gone and done that, and it was great. And so I think don't let your mind work things up, but rather just try it. Just give things a try, because we only live once at the end of the day. It's a cliche, but there's truth in all cliches. And for me, it would be just keep your horizons open. How about you? Do you
I
have
love
any?
keep your horizons open as I think about the mountains of Colorado and all that. Yeah, keep your horizons open. I love it. Well, so what we love to do, and let's take a deep breath in here on that one. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And so what we like to do here is put a blessing on you and ask you what you would love, Vinny. What would you love? Let's just say it's a year from now and we're coming back. What would you love to have this year or have us hold for you for this upcoming adventure?
Selfishly, I would like prayers. But if I could have everybody that hears this hold one thing throughout this next year, it would be peace. If everyone holds peace, thank you.
All right, now here we go. Prayer and peace. I love that. All right, so here we go. We're getting the energy going here.
Yeah.
Here you go. And you get to catch it. We're going to send this
Ooh,
to you from all
I'm
over
ready.
the globe.
I'm ready.
You ready? There it is. All right,
Alrighty.
there you go. Thank you so very much. And we totally see prayers for you and everyone that you're going to be touching and who you are touched by, and peace. Yeah, peace. Thanks so much, Vinny.
Thank you, Judy. It's always nice talking to you.
Ah, definitely.